So, good evening now, and welcome to this panel, all my fellow panelists. So, one very important aspect in terms of feedback for B schools is their own alumni network. When they go back to their alma mater and share inputs on what the industry requires, typically the question arises, what is it that my B school did not teach me? What they should have ingrained in me? So starting with you, ma'am, what is it that the most significant feedback that you have been getting over the years from your alumni base, and how are you imbibing that input into the curriculum upgradation?
So thank you so much for having me the part of this panel. It's a very, very interesting discussion topic. And so before we start with alumni mentoring and alumni coming back and discussing with us, I feel that the most important question which we need to ask all the B schools, whether we are engaging our alumni well. Maybe the top 20 B schools may have all the ways of engaging them well, but I'm not very sure whether the other B schools have enough mechanisms to engage them. At least that's what the experience of, when we interact with other deans and directors is what they share. Now coming back to that question, maybe this will come up sometime later in the discussion, but coming back to your question, when they come back and we invite them on various occasions, and when they come back and discuss with the students, one of the most important point what they discuss is, what you learn, you just learn. But what we do in the organization is something slightly, not what we think of, we learned in the school. So there exists, in the last panel they discussed about students being freshers getting into the B schools, and the gap of understanding, how to actually understand what happens in a corporate, even a guest lecture when they come and discuss all those things. The level of understanding for a fresher is actually, it's very low. So I think that's the gap which alumni come and discuss back with us. And
are you hinting at some of the soft skill issues?
It's not only about soft skills, but then, there are, for example, there are actually, people are talking about experiential learning. I think these are all something, which has come in the last maybe a decade or so, that, how we can actually bring in practical aspects into management education. So, there are ways of, bridging this gap, but then this is one of the very important feedback that theory, how we can bridge this theory and practice. This is one of the important feedback which keeps coming in from the alumni.
Dr. Amoncar, what would you say about this opening question?
I would say that the main thing that they talk about is how, what Dr. Smitha was, relating to, how what we taught them is often not utilized. So they sort of come back and tell us, and it depends on how old the alumni is. So for example, if somebody has gone into middle management or senior management, they will have different perspectives to share. So they would say that, we really never talked about how people management in the end tends to become the most important quality in an MBA graduate. And we never did it enough. And if you talk to the younger alumni, what they tend to talk about is what Dr. Smitha was referring to, the skill gaps. So when it comes to the curriculum, see, you can never get it right, because we talk to the industry to tell us the same thing. There are some things that you have to know, right? What our alumni tell us is that we need to be more conscious about who recruits from us. So they said, you as a B school that is 25 years old, you know who your recruiters are. You know what kind of JDs are floated. You know what kind of roles they are planning to offer. So you could have prepared us better. So what they're asking us to do is to be more intimate with the industry and go beyond the theatrics of it. It's fine to call somebody for a leadership lecture and click a nice picture and talk about it, but really get down to the discussion as to how many curriculum reviews do we do in a year, wherein we call industry experts, and for that matter, our alumni, to come and say, are we teaching what is really relevant and what is actually needed in practice? They also tell us that, we want to be more conscious about how the roles are evolving. Every 5 years, the roles keep evolving. I mean, today, everybody is coming and talking about how each one of our students need to be technologically competent. I mean, never before a business school was asked these questions. So they are saying that, for a business school, more so than any other school in a university, it is very important to sit together with the industry, and it is more important today than ever so before.
Dr. Das, Dr. Amoncar has raised some important points. While interactions with alumni, do you have, how much of, importance do you give to interactions with the immediate pass outs, those who have fresh outlook towards what has happened in the B school vis-a-vis corporate world, and also fairly senior corporates. So these are two sets of feedbacks. And also my original question about how do you implement some of the feedbacks that they gave to you?
Okay, I think this is an important distinction between recent alumni and senior alumni. See, when we interact with them, there are two levels of interaction. One is we interact with them for curriculum review, where we take alumni inputs and industry inputs very seriously, and this is part of process. And the other level of interaction is that we kind of mediate between them and the existing students. So the interaction with us for curriculum review and curriculum interventions, which happens with them sitting alongside other industry people, is mostly with mid to senior level alumni, not the younger guys. And there they of course add value. Interestingly, they don't tell us that what we learned was not useful, because they usually say what we learned was very useful, but there were a few other things we should have learned, which I'll also come to after I answer the second part of the question. So when we mediate a engagement with the current students, we have seen that our students are more open to listening to the younger alumni because they relate to them better. And they're just a few years senior to them, maybe 3 years, 4 years, 5 years at the most. So they kind of bring much more credibility because they can say that we have been there, done that very recently, and we were like you just a few years back, and this is what we have done once we got out into the corporate world. So they kind of take their advice much more seriously than they would take any advice we give us, or any advice a very, very senior alum gives them, because then it's like, oh, you are now 20 years into the system, you are like another generation, you will, give us gyan, but the guy who is just 3 years senior to them, that gyan is more credible for them. Whether it's more meaningful or not, that's a different discussion, but it's at least more credible for them. But the senior guys still have a role to play because they kind of create an aspiration that I graduated from this school 15 years ago, 20 years ago, 25 years ago, and I've reached a CEO, CXO level. So it is something you can do. And then they share their career path. And then the students kind of know that, okay, I'm on this bus, this is my stop 1, stop 2, stop 3, stop 4. And if I this is one of potential 5 or 6 career paths that I could take given my interests. So they play a different role of, telling them how to chart a longer term career path, whereas a younger alumni play a different role in telling them how to immediately deal with issues when they get out to work. So both are valuable for different reasons, like I said.
Okay. My next question is also to you. So you did mention them being part of the curriculum review, but what other formal mechanisms do you have for a constant engagement?
Okay. We have formal mentorship mechanisms with students. So we actually run mock interviews for first year students before their summer internship interviews. And these are all run by alumni exclusively. So it's a very big, event. I shouldn't use the word event. A huge exercise in logistics that happens of over multiple weekends. Alumni throng into campus, and they are assigned students to, mentor or mock interview. So this happens over a few weekends for first year students, where they are mentored through mock interviews by alumni for their summer internship interviews. And about a month or so later, it happens, the same exercise is repeated for the second year students. where again a horde of alumni come in over a few weekends and in a very formal mechanism, they mentor and do through mock interviews of students, preparing them for final interviews. So that is formal engagement. What we also do is when students are given admissions, this we have kind of done off and on because sometimes it seems to work, sometimes it doesn't, where we assign them an alumni mentor from the time they get an offer, so that they can also bounce, have conversations with the alumni mentor to even decide if they want to accept our offer or not. Okay. Is it even worth going to IMI? So the engagement starts then. And often if they choose to accept the offer and they choose to enroll, the engagement continues. But that is more because of the relationship they form with these alumni in the early days. It is not something we formally mediate. The formal mediation we do is in the beginning of assigning them a mentor. Where it goes depends on two individuals, the student who enrolled and the alumni who has assigned them at the time of the admission offer. So these are the formal engagements beyond curriculum interventions.
Sure. Dr. Amoncar, what is the means of constant guidance and mentorship that alumni provide on your campus?
So, what Dr. Himadri Das said, that is the first step. Come and mentor the students, right? But we sort of engage them at different stakeholder levels as well. So, for example, we experimented with faculty development programs, which were actually led by alumni. So these were closed door discussions because we felt that it is very easy for faculty development programs to be delivered by academics from other institutions, but that is more so towards the knowledge component or research component, right, or the teaching practice component. What I have often seen among the faculty members is that they are almost alien to the true nature of the industry as to what it is at this current moment in time. That's why we also explored what we call as faculty internships. So why can't we asked ourselves the questions, why can't our faculty actually take a couple of months off in the summer and actually intern at an industry, right? So, and that is when we brought in alumni to start that conversation, because who better to get on board such a experiment rather than our alumni? And we found that it was very refreshing because, see, the alumni know your context. They understand your true nature as an institution. No marketing gimmick is going to work because they have spent 2 years, 3 years, whatever it is with you. So they are much more open, they are much more candid, and that really helps actually achieve the output. So we got a few of our faculty members to actually work in our alumni businesses, not in other organizations, because there was a lot of legal complication around that. But those alumni who have successful businesses, we asked our faculties to go and work in those organizations, and that really helped our faculty understand how far ahead of the textbooks and the journal articles the industry has moved, right? And that actually brought some refreshing pedagogies into the classroom, because they suddenly had much more engaging content to discuss with the students, right? So that experiment really worked, I think, besides student mentoring.
Before I move forward, I request for silence in the room. There's a lot of noise. Thank you. So, Dr. Girija, I have my next question for you. So typically we hear in the case of IITs and IIMs, alumni, giving endowments, chairs being set up. So that's a way of connection with your alumni, even maybe 20, 25 years down the line. But what other meaningful ways of engagement do you see?
All right. That's when I started in, that the alumni engagement activities, by the B schools. So we are a very young university. We are just 10-year-old university. And we have, in the School of Management, roughly around 1,800 alumni. So our engagement basically starts for, career-related mentoring. And we try and engage them in the first semester itself. Though, it's a wish that every student, every MBA student get, one alumni as a mentor. It actually, unfortunately, it's not happening. So what we try and do is we actually identify a set of 5 students who have similar interest, let's say in the area of, let's say, HR or, a specific area of finance. Then we identify an alumni who's working in that area. And we reach out to them. In fact, more than we reaching out to them, we ask the students to get engaged with them on LinkedIn and other platforms. And if they're not responding, they'll get back to the alumni office and we help them to get connected. The first meeting is formally arranged by the university, that we arrange that first meeting with them, and then we'll leave it to the students. And that actually leads to the internship and then further. So we try and actually give the first connection, and then it is up to the students to take it forward. Unfortunately, what happens is, we get to hear about the expectation mismatch of alumni and the students. So that's something which, we have to interfere and try and address that. And also, since I said we are just a 10-year-old university, our alumni are not very senior. So, if it works well. So there are cases where alumni have referred them to their organizations also. So this program is a very formal program which we start from the beginning. We invite our alumni for, events like Coffee with Alumni and, which we formally organize. And also for, a portion of our electives in the second year. 40% of the elective, we try and engage an alumni to come and co-teach with the faculty. There are few specific courses where we feel that faculty may not have that expertise to deliver, which needs more of practical experience. Again, we request alumni to help us. These are some of the ways in which we engage our alumni.
Dr. Das, how do alumni networks, how have they been helpful in terms of placements and summer placements on the campus?
They have been very helpful. See, we have 3 campuses. The Delhi campus is about 40 years old, and the other 2 campuses, Calcutta and Bhubaneswar, are also now about 13 years old. So there is some vintage even in those. So alumni have obviously reached, reasonably senior or influential positions. And I'll be the first to say we have got tremendous help from them in finding people within their organizations whom they can connect us to, the decision makers, even if they're not themselves. And, acting as a coach, acting as a champion for their alma mater in that institution. So a lot of companies, we have been able to bring them to campus for the first time ever, which earlier on went to other B schools but did not come to us, thanks to the help provided by alumni. So alumni networks have definitely helped in moving the needle on placements in terms of getting much higher paying jobs, moving up our average salaries, etc., etc.
And Dr. Amoncar, what has been your experience?
So our experience has been similar. Obviously, they have been very supportive in terms of internships as well as placements. But nowadays there's a slight change into that relationship because alumni are having that tendency, that, for example, I'll be very open with you. A lot of institutions have rapidly expanded the number of their seats, right? With that comes a change in the nature of the aptitude level of the student in terms of the competence level of the students. So a lot of the old alumni, IMI is one of the oldest in Delhi. I happen to work at an organization which was, I think, also 40 years old at IMT Ghaziabad. So, we used to get these alumni who were very much in the 80s and early 90s a part of IMT Ghaziabad. They used to come and say that, look, you are not really looking at the behavior aspect of your student anymore. They are technically competent, but they are behaviorally misguided, or not misguided, but in the sense they have not got clarity in terms of how they need to operate at a workplace. So if you're going to be a successful leader, right, if you're going to be earning 20-25 lakhs in your first job after your post-graduation, you need to handle your project, you need to complete those deliverables, but at the same time, your team handling capabilities, how you motivate the people around you, how do you handle conflicts, and more so before that, how do you handle yourself, is very, very important. Because, look, the business school grows, the organizations have also grown, the country has grown, the economy has grown, and the demands of the job have changed. So alumni are telling us that, look, while you're teaching them and everything is fine, just make sure that the behavioral aspect of the MBA grad is not lost. Because that's what it is in the end, and as people who have progressed in their career 10, 15 years down the line and gotten into regional leadership and departmental leadership have realized that in the end it all comes to people management, and that's where they tell us that that's when we will be able to help you better in placements, when these expectations mismatch that you were talking about are becoming less. So this is what it is. So we have been sitting more closely with them. We're trying to listen to them more carefully in terms of what interventions we need to build in.
So, Dr. Das, your 40-year-old institution, there would also be cases of alumni returning as faculty. Is that the case, and what has been the experience once as students and now as faculty?
That's not because we are 40 years old. We have had some very young alumni come back as faculty after doing their PhD elsewhere. So they did an MBA with us. There are two of them right now who are colleagues, very young. And one of them graduated, I think, about 12 years ago. Other one maybe 13 or 14 years ago. So, and they chose to take this up as an academic career after having worked in industry for a while, fairly soon. They did PhDs from very good places. Came with a good portfolio of very high quality research publications. And they went through a process of selection which did not cut them any slack because they're alumni. And they happened to get selected, and they are now faculty and doing well. But I think that has got nothing to do with the vintage of the school, whether it's 40 years old or 10 years old. That is more about, certain alumni, a small subset who choose to take up an academic career and do a PhD, then thinking of their alma mater as a place they would want to go and work again. So obviously they liked something when they were here, which makes them come back. So the fact that two of them wanted to come back is a positive sign. But I would not say that's got anything to do with the institute being 40 years old or 10 years old.
Finally, we have 3 minutes. So one final comment. What is your expectation from your alumni base? That one expectation that you have.
So actually, as I've already mentioned, what we expect from our alumni is, in case if, just in the last panel, they discussed about, the difficulty for them to come out of their, office and then, spend more time with students during work days and things like that. But in case if, if they can engage with our students, because I feel we do have a strong faculty mentoring system, but as Professor mentioned, faculty can help them settle down with academics, interpersonal skills, explain them how to get network done and things like that. But then when it comes to actually the need of industry, I think that's where, we need the help of this alumni. So along with faculty, in case if they can actually take out time, help students, and also, give insights to the faculty on, how can we improve our curriculum, what more to add. As I said, we are trying this co-teaching activity. I wish if more and more alumni come forward and help us in that. So along with mentoring, if they can also help the faculty and school to improve our curriculum. That's what we expect from our alumni.
Dr. Amoncar?
I would just like to answer it from the other way around, that what does the alumni expect from us? So one thing that I realized that, we need to be more careful and conscious about tracking the career journeys of our alumni. So abroad, they used to call it graduate outcomes, right? Here we call it PEOs, but we never actually measure them. So that means we keep a close eye on the trajectory that our alumni are taking. We are proactively recognizing their milestones. So let's say, for example, you recently got promoted as the editor of Businessworld Education. The first message that you get into your email on your WhatsApp is from the director of the school. That's going to help you, right? That's going to, and we call you on campus and we recognize you. That's something that is very, very important. Secondly, what they also want us to do is measure their career progression and anticipate the needs that they might have at that position in their career, and then develop interventions. So for example, lifelong learning programs. These are bite-sized modules. One good thing about us is we are in Delhi NCR, Most of the people work around here, and even if they have to fly around, that's fine. So we developed weekend campus modules. We said, come back for a couple of days and don't listen from the lecturers. We'll bring in the industry people who have gone through the stage at which you are at and give you advice in terms of how do you handle this stage in your career. That's not only in terms of new knowledge development, but in terms of how do I have to build myself, a little bit of coaching as well. So that helps us, develop those interventions when you track where they are going, anticipate their need, and deliver the, needful over there. Yeah.
Dr. Das?
Well, I have a very simple and single point expectation from all alumni, and something which can scale across alumni. So it's not endowments, which only some can give. It is not engaging with students, which only some can make time to do. But my expectation is something everybody can do, and that is be staunch brand ambassadors of their alma mater. Everywhere they go, wherever they get an opportunity, at work, outside, proudly say, I went to school here. I take this opportunity every time. I'm going to do it now. I'm very proud of the fact I went to IIT Delhi. So I want our alumni to be saying wherever they go, I'm very proud of the fact I went to IMI. If everybody can do that and that is scalable, it doesn't cost anything, it doesn't even cost time, just doing that is my only expectation.
Thank you so much. Thank you to all my panelists. It was great having you for this discussion.